I drank some pickle juice, went on the couch. And I was like, ooh, I got to use the bathroom. I went and I pooped, but just water came out. When my day job is good, my fitness suffers. When I get my fitness in check, my family life falls by the wayside. How do the PP boys balance this in pursuit of being fit, working hard, and being present for the family?
Doesn't matter who you are. Everyone has days off. They go 4 days on, a couple days off, whatever the situation is. Everyone's got days off. Those days off, you got to kind of pressure yourself a little bit to get in some exercise.
What I had to do was just reinterpret what I considered a workout, because before it was like, no, I got to be like the dudes on YouTube. I got to, look at the lifting motivation videos, and then I got to go crush it in the gym.
Is that your secret, Weight Watchers?
I just saw it on a commercial the other day. It was like a podcast.
Wouldn't it be dope if he was sponsored by Weight Watchers?
Dog. Even though we've seen that narrative so much that you sacrifice yourself for your family, because you quite literally are sacrificing part of your life to make sure all these other lives are okay. How about instead of sacrificing your life, you take the 30 minutes in the morning to take care of your body?
It's like a just imagine if someone was to just break it down and they said, hey, listen, I got this really cool thing. I know that you have some anxiety. I know that you've been upset lately and you've been really worried. But we have this thing that we can take your brain out and we can dip it into this thing that's got all these lotions and these wonderful things. It's going to make you feel fucking amazing. It's going to cause a cascade of hormones to go on in your body. It's going to help you lose body fat. It's going to help you do this and do that. And then they break it to you that it's exercise. You're like, fuck, okay. Okay, maybe I should do it.
PowerProject family, how's it going? Now, on this podcast, we talk a lot about getting great sleep. We've done countless podcasts on it. We almost talk about sleep every single podcast because of how important it is for your recovery, for your fat loss, for your muscle gain, all of that good stuff. That's why we've partnered with 8 Sleep mattresses. Now, 8 Sleep mattress has something called the Pod Pro cover, which you can place upon your own mattress or one of 8 Sleep mattresses. And the cool thing about the Pod Pro cover is that it has dynamic cooling and heating through the night. Now, your body's circadian rhythm and your body's temperature changes through the night, and the mattress cover or the Pod Pro cover changes in accordance to that so that you get the best sleep of your life. Some people like myself sweat when we sleep. I sometimes have woken up in puddles and I thought I pissed myself. But because of the Pod Pro cover, it regulates my temperature through the night, so I wake up feeling refreshed and dry. And that's also great for my partner. Anyway, Andrew, how can people get a hold of the Pod Pro cover?
Yes, you guys got to head over to 8sleep.com/PowerProject. That's EIGHT sleep/PowerProject. And you guys will automatically receive $150 off the Pod Pro cover or the Pod Pro cover and mattress combo. Again, that's at 8sleep.com/PowerProject. No code needed. You guys will see a banner across the top saying that you're going to receive $150 off your order. Again, so no code for that. Just head over to that link ASAP. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Are you the one who uses partial hydration packets?
I do sometimes. You find it offensive?
You just leave them everywhere.
Why don't you just put the whole thing in your coffee, man? Are we on?
Yeah, we are now.
Yeah. Why don't you put the whole hydration packet in you? It's not that strong, Mark.
I don't want to end up like you, bro. All fucked up, strung out on hydration.
That's true.
I see you out in these streets.
Yo, last night something wild happened. So I really like pickles.
Yeah, so
Pickles.
do I.
Yeah, pickles are great.
Quinn got my wife a pickle grabber off of Amazon because she knows that she loves pickles for Mother's Day.
It's lit. Oh, that's so smart because I always have to put my fingers in the jar and then my fingers smell like fucking pickles for a minute. I'll smell my fingers on the podcast yesterday because I was like, why do my fingers smell? I know that's not because I peed. It's pickles. Anyway,
like whose stuff is on my fingers and why?
You could have solved it if you washed your hands.
I did.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because we have a
stop.
Okay.
We just. Yeah, no, I washed my hands. No,
he didn't.
Maybe
wash
I didn't.
It. No, he didn't.
Depends on where your hands have been. I mean, do you really want to wash them?
Oh, no.
See,
especially since I have to put lotion on again. It's an arduous process.
It's called afterglow, right?
But okay, I had some pickles last night, and then I drank a little bit of the pickle juice.
Can you say you had pickles again? That sounded really attractive.
I had some pickles last night.
Wow.
Why did that sound
I don't know.
attractive?
It's working.
It's not because
It's just because your voice. I think your natural voice, your natty voice.
like the guy in the comments said he needs to stop that podcast voice.
How much could we get to get him off here again, Andrew? Did we find a price?
I'm still waiting on the offer.
Guys, what would you pay to have me deleted from this show? What's the number? All right,
Taking offers.
what would it take? Take
About $7.
$50? I like how you did the $7 thing. You took it to Dwayne, you took it to The Rock, like $7. I feel it. Back to the pickles. I drank some pickle juice, went on the couch, and I was like, ooh, I gotta use the bathroom. I went and I pooped, but just water came out. Copious. And it was like 3 different times, just copious amounts of liquid just left my body. Wow. My girlfriend's friend.
Speaking of liquid death.
No, seriously, speaking of liquid death.
Yeah. Damn.
Her friend's like a scientist, so she asked him what happened. He was like, apparently, like I didn't have enough sodium running through my bloodstream, so my body wasn't, I don't know, accustomed to what the amount of sodium I took in from drinking the pickle juice, and it just expelled it immediately.
How much pickle juice did you drink?
I didn't think I drank as much as came out of my body.
What kind of scientist is she?
I know, and that's the other thing.
A butt doctor?
I don't know what he works with, but he works with, like, he does a lot of chemistry stuff with his job. So he like mixes chemicals and does a bunch
Sounds
of
made
shit.
up.
I could picture him like pacing back and forth in your kitchen being like, here's my hypothesis of what transpired here tonight.
But yeah,
He
man.
is right though. Like there's a like whether it's potassium or sodium, like they it like your I forget what area it is, maybe like your colon or something, like tons of water will like rush in and out of there very, very fast. And that's when you're like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah, it was so sudden too. And I was like, let me test. No, that's not a good one. So I went, and it was just plastered
Like, this is
water
not
everywhere.
air.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. But be careful when drinking pickle juice, especially when you're well hydrated, because I did drink a lot of electrolytes, so it was weird.
Yeah, some people drink pickle juice for cramps or something, right?
I remember, reading about that.
Oh, we got the problem with this. This is the best.
I couldn't find the scooper in there.
I know.
So,
I couldn't find it the other day either. And because I don't wash my hands, I can't go digging around.
I was
got
just
your
thinking
pee-pee
about
fingers
that.
all over
Yeah.
the protein powder.
Little pee, little poop in there.
Little pee, little poop, little pickles.
Oh my god! Today I'm gonna mix a little chocolate and vanilla in here. This is gonna be good.
Chocolate and vanilla makes salted caramel.
And salted caramel electrolytes.
Oh, there we go.
I'm also
all of
gonna
the
add the
above.
Bob's
Bob's.
Thanks, Bobs. Appreciate it.
the Bob's collagen, and we're gonna have a party.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You have so many things back behind the desk now.
There is like a little bit of like a wall over here. There's a foam roller back here.
There's a foam roller, 2 lacrosse balls,
Soul steps.
soul steps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Andrew, what you been doing with your workouts lately since we've had our boy Chris here? Because I know I am in the gym just like rubbing all over stuff like I'm a bear scratching my back in the woods.
That's actually a really, really good explanation of what we all been doing. But yeah, so Chris Kadowski,
Not Kowalski?
not Kowalski, Kadowski. Yeah, that is funny. That's like that game Telephone. It's like, no, it's Kowalski. Like, yeah, it's Kowalski.
And it all started with Joel Green.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. He looked at me and he just could tell right away that my shoulders were totally crooked. Like my left side was going way too high. And then he felt my back and he just could feel how it's just all knotted up. And he said it felt like basically like a pipe, like all the way like down my left side of my back. So now I get up when I get here, I will set up a bar on the squat rack, put a plate on there, and then just jab the shit out of my trap and just roll it out like a rolling pin, trying to just iron it out as best I can. And like you can, man, when you find something, you're just like, what is that? The first day after he did it manually with his hands, I had like a really, really bad headache. It was crazy, but I just feel these weird knots, and then when I roll them out, like my whole arm will kind of like lift. Like it's just it's not that dramatic, but like it moves, and it's really weird. And then after that, I'll lower the rack and then just roll out my back, kind of like if it was a very small foam roller, but it's the bar, and I just beat the shit out of my back with that thing. And
Does the bar work pretty good?
the bar works really well because again, you can find like, oh, what is that? Like you just you're exploring your body and you find something, you're just like, dude, what is that? And so you kind of stay in that one spot. You can, roll whichever way feels the best. And then after a little bit, you're just like, okay, that one knot's gone. Let me roll. And like, I found another one. And it's like, here we go. And then after that, I've been messing with the So Right. Bo Hightower, a couple years back, he kind of jabbed the shit out of my psoas. I didn't even know what he was doing. But after he did, I was like, whoa, like my back feels pretty good.
He was using a So Right on you?
No, he just used like a fucking metal bar. Like he just like jabbed the shit out of my stomach. I'm like, what is happening? He's like, you'll be fine. But the thing with that though is like it'd fade away. Like I would feel some relief, and then like 15 minutes later, it's like, oh well, that doesn't work. But now it's like if I do it every day, maybe that relief will be sustained. But yeah, the combination of those three things, I've been feeling pretty good. There's no reason for me to stop because it's not so much work. Like when I'm talking about rolling up my trap, rolling up my back, I'm only talking like 3 to 5 minutes each. So it's something very minimal that I can just add into the rest of my day.
Yeah. With what, guys, everyone who's listened to the podcast with Chris, one thing to keep in mind, it's like, when we get injured, one thing that we do is we'll do our rehab work and we'll feel better. And then we'll stop doing all the things, the exercises that helped us to feel better. And then we'll reattain that injury. And something that happens when you do body work, when you start smashing and finding these areas, is you do it for a little bit, you feel really good, you stop, and then something happens. So one thing is like, keep consistent. We're doing the stuff for our psoas every day. We're beating out our traps. We're finding different like hamstrings, adductors. We're doing this daily because we know that if we maintain this and just do some of it every single day, it's going to allow us to continue feeling good, right? So don't just do it for a few days and then stop. Try to make a habit out of it and find parts of your day where you can get some smashing in.
Yeah, smashing.
I've had, some pain in my like adductor forever. And so I will keep reporting to people how it's going. I've been working on it every day, and I'm imagining that over time, maybe I can get it to go away. I'm working on like the front of my hip as well.
Yeah.
Just poking around in there. But I think there's like these things are like multifactorial. Like there's not just like one. I don't think I'm just going to like rub on there and then it will magically, I'll be like, hey, it disappeared. I think there's a lot of like activation that needs to go on too, because then once you gain range of motion in a specific area, it would make sense that if that body part didn't move the way that it's supposed to move, that those areas are like, they're kind of shut down. They're shut off, at least for the moment. And you need to get them to wake back up. So not only am I going to, try to get these kinks out of my body, but in addition to that, I have to stretch. And in addition to that, because the stretching should help with the mobility, can potentially help a little bit with blood flow. And then the last piece of that is some sort of strengthening. Even though you would think like, oh, well, you're probably strong from like lifting. Well, there's like lifting strength, and then there's strength of being able to lift your foot up off the ground and put it up over a hurdle. One way, one direction, and then the other way, the other direction, being able to do so with good control. And so I got a lot of different stuff to like practice and to maneuver around with, maybe ankle weights, really anything. The foot swinging that you're showing me. I was showing you some of that movement with the shoulders yesterday, where you do it really, really slow. It's like just whatever way I can try to find a way to get a lot of blood into the area and a way to kind of work or wake up kind of a dead body part is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. If you guys are curious what Mark is talking about with the shoulder, look up shoulder cars on YouTube. Shoulder and then the word cars. You're going to see a lot of different types of movements. And like pretty much with cars, you're like moving through a range of motion slowly, but as you're getting there, you're also kind of trying to slowly find areas that are a bit tight. And as you were showing that to me yesterday and we were doing it on the walk, I'm like, ooh, there are some nice little areas where you can just like scrub that area and you'll find you'll get a little bit of a better range of motion within there. So rather than just swinging back and forth, controlling that. But to what you were saying earlier, I don't know if Chris said this or if I read it in his book, or I don't know, it's just the process, but smash, lengthen, strengthen. So hip flexor. smash the fuck out of that with a supernova or a lacrosse ball or even a barbell, depending on what you can do. You're going to find it's pretty fucking sore. Lengthen it, maybe do a couch stretch or do something to lengthen that hip flexor since you're typically sitting on it and it's shortened all day. And then strengthen it. You could do things like the reverse squat. You can do L-sits. You can do, kettlebell swings. Kettlebell swings are a great hip flexor movement because what happens is, you're usually sitting at work, so your hip flexor's in this shortened position for a long period of time. Then you go into the gym and you squat, but because it doesn't have the length it should, you're now working with a limited range of motion since you can't actually show the full range that your hip flexor has. So if you smash it, put pressure on it like Chris talked about, lengthen and strengthen, you do this for a lot of different body parts, your body's going to be feeling really fucking good.
I made a post today talking about shoes. I got some new Ultra kicks that I was running in yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Felt really good. There was a couple questions about the shoes and stuff like that, and this can get to be confusing because I don't want to encourage people to just do a bunch of stuff barefoot. However, if you simply don't want any cost associated with changing your footwear, then trying to figure out ways to be barefoot more often would be a good idea. Potentially in the gym and potentially in your backyard, your front yard, or whatever field you can have some access to. And I don't even know if you need to bother with running. Like you can run barefoot if you want to really try it. But if you haven't run, I would just encourage you just to walk around barefoot for a bit outside. I usually do so in the morning. Sometimes I'll do so at night as well. Just go outside. I live in like the country, so it's super beautiful out there. There's like all kinds of like animals and stuff out there. And it's just really nice, seeing the sun go down or the sun come up. Kind of feels like refreshing and feels good to me. But what gets confusing about the shoes is like, people are like, oh, have you ever tried like Hoka's? You ever tried these or these other types of shoes? And I think there's tremendous value in some of those shoes. Some of those shoes might be great for some folks, but I also think that if your feet are kind of sensitive and you have any trouble moving any one of your toes, and you feel like your feet are crammed in, or you have bunions, or you have toes pointing in specific directions, or toes that are twisted, your feet look jammed up, there's an extra bone shooting out of somewhere, like all kinds of crazy stuff happens to people's feet.
Yeah.
And when you go to the doctors usually kind of just make you think it's kind of a genetic thing, or it's overuse injury. That's what they always sell you on. So it's an overuse injury. And actually, I think what I'm learning and what I'd like to share is it's probably like an underuse. Your foot has been, like if we take the equivalent, if you just wore boxing gloves all the time, like anyone who's ever been in a pair of boxing mitts, it's like impossible even just to get a drink of water when usually your coach squirts the water into your mouth because like you can't do shit. So imagine if you had boxing gloves on, you walked around with boxing gloves on, even just for like, let's just say you just did it for like 3 days. I would imagine your hands would be like, they would feel a little weird probably afterwards. And think about how often your foot is jammed into something that it really doesn't fit in too well. So I believe that our shoes need to allow our feet to be feet. You should be able to splay your feet, which is just kind of like widen your feet out. You should be able to move your toes around in your shoes, and you should be able to have access to be able to move all your toes around. And if you don't currently, then I would suggest that you start to look into a shoe that's going to fit better. And I would work your way towards like Vivo Barefoot for working out and for walking as much as you possibly can. As
much as you can. And with what Mark said there, guys, remember, like he just mentioned, you got to be careful with how speedy you do this. Like when I was transitioning into Vivos, like there was points where like certain parts of my foot was hurting because in normal shoes, those parts of the foot, like the first metatarsals or whatever, so right underneath the big toe, that doesn't usually make as much contact with the ground in normal shoes because those shoes are really padded. But now it's touching the ground with every step I take. So I was having these stressors in those areas, and like during that transition period, I had to go back to wearing my normal shoes for a little bit while I was walking just to give that part of my foot a break, and then I'd head right back into my Vivos. So it's just like starting a new workout routine. You might start off with 5 days a week and then you're like, oh, fuck, I can't do this. So then you'll go to 4 or 3 days for a little bit so you can recover. Then you'll go to 4 days and then you'll go back to 5 days. It's the same deal. You got to ease yourself into it. And if you go too hard, too fast, you might injure yourself. So that's why just be careful. But with what Mark was saying, it is really cool. Like I'm finding it so cool, the things that's going on with my feet now. It's like I feel like a kid because I'm like, ooh, I can spread just my pinky toe. Or wow, my second toe. Let me just try to lift that second toe up and keep everything else on the ground. And it's like it starts to lift or wiggles. I'm just like new power unlocked. It's really fucking dope. So some cool tools that you guys can grab.
It's like you want to show somebody right away.
Yeah. I was legit like, I was sitting in the sauna. I'm like, Sam, look at my toes. And I was like, look at that toe wiggle. I was so excited.
Like, wow. She's like, I've been thinking about leaving him now. I'm 100% sure.
But some tools, guys. Some tools are the correct toes. And
absolutely.
Out of all the toe spreaders, I know that they're a bit more expensive. They're $65, but I've used a few toe spreaders at this point, and I got to say, versus all the other toe spreaders I've used, they are the best, right? And the cool thing is when you put those on, not only can you walk around with them, yeah, Andrew pulled it up on the screen, but you want to try to squeeze your toes against the correct toes, and you're going to feel all those little muscles starting to activate and get a little bit sore. You can sit down with them, and as you're sitting in your chair or whatever, squeeze against the toes. That's how I usually use it.
It looks hilarious, by the way.
It does. But the cool thing is there's different sizes too.
We're not like, again, we're not making this stuff up. I know we talk about a lot of stuff, and I think sometimes people might be like, oh God, here they go again. Talking about the feet, and next thing's going to be the hands, and blah, 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 blah. But if you have problems if you have shin splints from running, if you have knee pain, if you have hip pain, if you have back pain, what if a lot of it has to do with your feet? Like, why not examine? It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to examine it. It doesn't hurt to look down at your feet and go, yeah, my feet are kind of crazy. Why can't I move some of these toes? What the fuck's going on? I think a lot of people look down at their feet and they'll be like, yeah, man, I got toes that are crossing over each other, and that's not normal. Our feet shouldn't be that way, and you can retrain them. And so it might be something just to look into. It's that simple. We got something in the Discord that came in?
Yes, we do. Yeah, so it was a pretty good question. If I could open my phone.
Oh, they sell limbs on Correcto's website? That's cool.
Limbs are pretty. So
what's that?
These shoes, they're just super nice looking too. And they have like a wider toe box. Of course, I can't find like a decent looking one. I'll just pull this one up. Let me, bam.
Oh yeah, there you go.
See, like it looks, again, just like a normal looking shoe.
Yeah.
But like.
Has a wide toe box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we need like, I don't know, we got to really open up this space. We need like sandals and shit, and like we need like right? Like we need like, I don't want to have to put socks on all the time and shit like that.
Andrew, can you find Anaya's reviews on
Instagram?
You can actually find it on Google.
She's the foot lady, right?
She's the foot lady. And hopefully we'll be able to get her on because her website, Graham mentioned her to us. Her website has just I don't know if I'm using this word right, but I'm going to try compendium.
I thought you were going to say plethora.
How do you spell
plethora? Anya.
A-N.
Yeah. She has she's reviewed so many different type of barefoot shoes, and also her foot transformation is immaculate. It's wild.
That's
like
cool.
how wide her feet are now, and like how they've transformed. But you see all those sandals, right? Barefoot shoes and all that. So she goes and she reviews all these different brands of different types of shoes. And she actually has a barefoot shoe calculator. And I know we talk so much about Vivos because we like them, but there are other brands. So if you go to her barefoot shoe calculator, you can look at what kind of foot you have. And then there are suggestions on the different types of shoes that you can get for what you're looking for and for your foot. And she's a really good resource for that. So I'd suggest that you guys check it out. Because Vivos aren't the only shoes in the space. I think they're really good looking, but there are others that you might be interested in, including sandals. So now I'll get to the question. The question from Discord. And in Discord, guys, we have you can check it out in the description below. We'll go here and get topics out of it or answer some of your questions. But Skylar asked, when my day job is good, my fitness suffers. When I get my fitness in check, my family life falls by the wayside. How do the PP boys balance this in pursuit of being fit, working hard, and being present for the family?
Man, I think you got to kind of start in on this question where we always start, which is like you have to probably reinterpret a bunch of different things. Reinterpret what family time means to you. Reinterpret what working out means to you. Working out doesn't always mean that you have to go to a gym. However, sometimes that's motivating. You go to the gym, other people are exercising. You're like, shit, I better get mine too. And next thing you know, you're on your way and you got a good workout in. So it's understandable to kind of tether ourselves to some of these ideas that we've had about how our fitness has to look. A couple of things I would encourage people that I think could be some cheat codes into just making sure you get in all of it. But before I mention that, you got to start out by saying you're not going to get all of it. You're not going to be able to get to everything that you want to get to. Do you
want
have
it
to
all, Mark?
Do you have to poop?
Well, sometimes no. I just grabbed a lacrosse ball and put it underneath my foot.
Oh, you made a weird face. So I was like, oh man, Nsima's got hit by the second
I made
wave.
a little pain face, and you're like, what's going on?
Kind of similar panics though, right? When you find something, you're just like, oh shit. And then when you have to go to the bathroom, you're like, oh shit. But like,
I do my best to like keep my face so chill on the mic when I'm doing something on the side. But sometimes
you can't.
Lacrosse ball underneath the foot, you feel that immediately.
Is it the middle of your foot or near the heel more?
The middle of the foot is the most tender. Near the heel, there's a little spot, but like it's
not too bad.
Yeah, it feels good though afterwards.
Foot massage.
Yeah.
Okay, what was I talking about?
Can't have it all, apparently.
Yeah. So there might be different times where you're going after certain things. You might be able to invest and dump tons of time into being with your children. There are times where roles reverse in a household where the dad has more opportunity to take care of the kid or the mom has more opportunity. And sometimes that switches. Sometimes those roles don't change. Sometimes they stay the same. So I think number one is you have to kind of reinterpret, like, how much do you really need to be there for your family and in what way? Like, what's important? Like, what are the things that are non-negotiable for you that you can't miss? And then work your way backwards from there. If you know that there's certain things that you can't miss, if your kid's currently swimming and you're like, you know what, just during the swim season, I'm not missing one swim meet. Well, swim meet takes all fucking day. Like, you're there all day. Sometimes it starts at like 7 and doesn't end until 7. Like, it goes all day sometimes, depending on how much of a pain in the ass your kid is with the events that they choose. So there are situations where it's like, yeah, that day is kind of gone. So you can kind of work your way backwards into it that way. But in addition to that, I think the other couple important things are to keep in mind. You can work out at home. You can just go for a run. You can have maybe you give yourself like 3 different versions of exercise. Like, okay, if I did 3 10-minute walks for today, check. If I did a 20-minute run for the day, that gets a check. If I lifted for today, that gets a check. So now you have 3 different options right there. Maybe a bike ride, whatever the hell it is that you love to do. But now you got 3 or 4 different options to where if I get in any one of those things, then that's a check. And that's a solid for the day. I'm good with that. And there's going to be days where, shit, you're like, man, I got in like 2 or 3 of those things for the day. And kind of the last little bit, and we'll just dive into talking about it a lot more, and you guys are going to have some ideas surrounding this. But I think there's always days off of work. Like, everyone that works, except for us here at the Power Project, everybody that works knows when they have downtime, and everybody knows when they have days off. So for a lot of people, they work Monday through Friday. They have the weekends off. For some people, it's a little different. They got like Wednesday and something else off. Police officers, firemen, doesn't matter who you are. Everyone has days off. They go 4 days on, a couple days off, whatever the situation is. Everyone's got days off. Those days off, you got to kind of pressure yourself a little bit to get in some exercise. And for me on the weekend, what I've noticed with my family is like nothing's really happening past like nothing starts to happen until sometime past noon. So I can do whatever the hell I want. I can wake up at 6 a.m. or 7 or 8 even. I could even sleep in and get to the gym at 10, work out for an hour and a half, get home by 12, and then we're all going to the movies or we're going to lunch together or whatever it might be. So take those days off, like really pride yourself in saying, you know what? I'm going to make sure I'm going to get in the fitness that I need on those days.
Andrew, you had a really cool outlook on that when we were talking about it in the gym.
Yeah. Oh man, there goes my throat. No, it was along the lines of like what Mark just said about reinterpretation. But before, when I was just a freelance photographer, that's exactly what happened. My photography business would take off, my fitness would fall off, and then we'd flip flop that. I'd be good in the gym every single day, and all of a sudden it's like, dude, I'm not getting hired by anybody. Like, I'm not doing any photo shoots. Like, why can't I do both at the same time? Like, it was impossible. Fast forward to now with, 2 kids, one being 1 year old, like he takes up a lot of attention. So what I had to do was just reinterpret what I considered a workout, because before it was like, no, I got to be like the dudes on YouTube. I got to, look at the lifting motivation videos, and then I got to go crush it in the gym. I got to go, do 20 sets of chest, in order to have a good workout, because I want to look like those guys. To now, it's like, okay, how many steps did I get in today? Like, all right, cool. I got over 5,000 steps and I had a really good dinner. Like, I didn't get off my meal plan or whatever, my diet. Like, that's a huge win. Or maybe even I get in like a couple of sets or whatever while like I'm doing some work or something. Like, that is what I consider like a good workout now. Now, obviously, do I want to do way more? Yes. But this is how I'm able to currently balance things out, where I'm not dropping the ball here on the podcast. I'm not dropping the ball at home as a, husband and father. And I'm not dropping the ball for myself, where I'm like just using all of the above as an excuse to just not, shit, I don't have enough time. Let me go to the drive-thru again. Let me sit down. Let me, not ask the kids if they want to go for a walk, or the family. It's really easy to kind of just make up all these excuses for yourself. But for me, it's just been that reinterpretation and kind of just not being okay, but just understanding like my workout's not going to be an 11 out of 10 today. Like, is it going to be a 5 out of 10? Is it going to be something out of 10? Then that's still a huge win for me, because it's going to be very hard for me to regress if I'm doing something. And I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of. Like, oh, I didn't fucking kill myself in the gym today. I'm going to get weak. I'm going to get fat. I'm going to, I'm going to take 10 steps backwards. Like, you won't. If you didn't do anything, you won't, because it took you a long time to get here. But as long as you're doing something, you're still going to be making some progress. And so, yeah, that's what I've been doing, is just kind of understanding like, I'm going to try to get everything in, but it's okay if I, take a couple of steps backwards as far as like the intensity of the workout, because I'm still going to be moving. I'm still going to be walking. I'm still going to have a really tight, clean diet, and I'm still going to be there for all my responsibilities.
I think it's a good idea to kind of work your way backwards sometimes with stuff. If you do have a child at home that's 4 or 7, a little motherfucker with tons of energy in the household, then you can say, all right, every time I get home, as soon as I sit down, he's always like, hey, you want to play this? You want to play that? And you're like, no, wait till I eat, or,
Mm-hmm.
But you work your way backwards and say, how do I have enough energy to just say yes to him every time? How do I have enough energy to say yes to him? Like, I think most parents would say, like, I would love to be able to tell him yes every time, but most of the time, like within reason. And then work your way backwards from there. Like, what would that look like? Does that mean that you sleep a little bit more so that way you're more rested? Does that mean that your workouts are shorter? Because again, with your workouts, they don't have to be these monumental things all the time. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of, from what we know from research, you really just sounds like you're just trying to send a signal to your body of like, hey, this is what's going on today. You're working on mobility, or you're working on strength, or you're working on your cardiovascular. It's like, whatever that is, it doesn't take that long. It doesn't take an hour to tell you for your information, your body to have the information to say, all right, I'm going to actually get stronger today. I mean, a lot of times it's like 1 or 2 sets, right? Now, it takes time to get to those sets, but there's options. There's dog crap training from Dante Trudell, where it's like 5 sets in a row. Anyone that's ever tried that, you can look it up on YouTube. There's threads about it. That'll annihilate you. It takes like, once you warm up, it takes like 8 minutes. There's tons of CrossFit workouts. Look at our boy Jason Kalipa. Most of the posts that he does, you're getting into deep water quick in those workouts. Those are like 8-minute, 12-minute workouts. And you ain't coming back from those.
Total workout could be like 20 minutes too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those, and it's not, but it's not the bullshit like 6-minute ab. Like these are workouts. And these are from like Jason Kalipa is a world-class athlete. He won the fucking CrossFit games. So these style workouts that people do, these Metcons and stuff, they are really brutal. So looking into having options like that is another great idea.
Absolutely. I have a question for you actually, Mark. When you were 30, 35, midst of powerlifting and lifting those heavy weights, would you have had, or did you have the same, this fucking net? Did you have this?
A little fly around
Yeah,
here.
it's
trying to get on the show.
around me. It's like, I'm not one of those kids, man.
It's like, bro, if you want to be on the show, there's an extra microphone right here.
Did you get that one?
Something.
Those African kids on the commercials you said.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't.
I'm not one of those kids, man.
I thought it had to do with like flies and like.
Why do they got to be
being the smelly?
The delivery
kid.
was horrible. Because in those like Make-A-Wish UNICEF videos, they always have the African kid with the fly running around him. You know, it's like it's always that little kid. He's
There was
like
a
sad and
comedian
hungry.
who was like, the fucking camera guy could give the kid a sandwich, right?
Yes. Who was it? It was Bill Burr.
I don't remember.
It's
but
now
it's
flying
like,
around you.
yeah.
Looks like you're the hungry one.
Yeah, now it's got me. It's it was like they're like there's a whole staff there like filming this.
Feed him.
Yeah, give the motherfucker some popcorn or something.
On fucking Weight Watchers, popcorn is like one of those foods that's like the rated 0. You can have as much of it as you like.
Dude, I love popcorn.
Yeah,
I have a shit
Is that
ton
your
of that.
secret, Weight Watchers?
I just saw it on a commercial the other day. It was like a podcast.
Wouldn't
I
it
was
be
listening
dope
to.
if he was sponsored by Weight Watchers?
Dog,
That would be great.
fuck to the no. But
I think it'd be all right because
The point system's actually kinda cool.
They like it's if it fits your macros, but if it fits your points.
true.
Smart Pop is awesome, by the way. It's like only
You
200
could be
something calories
You
for the
could
whole
be in
bag.
better shape, but only with Weight Watchers.
That was good delivery.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad at all. PowerProject fam, this episode is brought to you by Vivo Barefoot Shoes. We've been wearing these shoes for almost a year now. They're flexible. They have a wide toe box. They allow your feet to get connected to the ground, and they will make your feet stronger, and they don't look like shit like a lot of these other barefoot shoes. Andrew, how can they get them?
You guys got to head over to vivobarefoot.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to this video.
But when you were like in the midst of powerlifting, would you have the same outlook currently, like in the way you look at exercise? Would you have been, if someone came to you and was like, I can't really balance that well, would it be the same, like, oh, just do something for 20 minutes, right? Or would it have been a more type of like, nah, it needs to at least be an hour, more type of things that you see from like bodybuilding guys and powerlifting guys where they're like, your 4 or 5 day split, 60 to 90 minutes. It's only an hour? What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys were around when I had some of my family members come out here. Like I had aunts and uncles and some people visit the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
They came here, way after the fact, right? Like way after Super Training and Slingshot like took off. They saw this facility that we're in now. And they were like, oh, this is where you've been. It's like, yeah, this is where I've been every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday, every Sunday.
Uh-huh.
This is where like I've been living and dying in here. So when I was, in the middle of powerlifting like that, my wife knew like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, unless there's like an emergency, like that's where I am. I'm there. And also so I also don't have much of another life other than like being a fitness person. So everyone have to excuse me on that part because somebody that is a construction worker trying to lift and like, Jesus, like I admire all of you guys and I understand it would be harder. But I had Super Training Gym, I had kids, I had my wife, I had Power Magazine, and Slingshot was just getting started. But my wife's always been really supportive. So I think communication with your spouse, significant other, is really important. You say, I really enjoy jiu-jitsu. This is what I want to do. I want to be a world champion someday. And it'd be great. Like if you want to be in support of that, that would be awesome. And I'm going to be at the gym at these times, like you're not saying it like a dick. You're not like, don't bother me during these times. Like it's super important. I got it. And it's not anything that you can ever bend on. Or there was plenty of times where it's like, we had something to go to or something to do. And I'm like, I'll just lift on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Oh, fuck. I don't get to lift with the team on Saturday. Damn, I love those squat workouts. All right, I'll get in there on Friday and get it done. So there's still some manipulation of time, and there's a lot of give and take in relationships, especially when you have children, because then everything turns to the kids. I don't really care that you want to work out Saturday morning. Jake has a baseball game, and I wouldn't even, from my standpoint, I wouldn't want to lift weights while he's playing baseball.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm like, that doesn't. Now, if you have a job and you're a firefighter and you can't, if you're just starting out a career, you don't have that option. You have to be at work. So there's going to be a time and place for everything, but I don't think you need to feel guilty about working. I don't think you need to feel guilty about providing for your family. I just think that occasionally you might need to check yourself on that, because sometimes you might be like, well, I'm pretty secure. Like I don't have to say yes to everything all the time. I probably can get some of these other days off. So the main thing for me was, in the height of my powerlifting career, those 4 days a week, 4 hours each time, 3-4 hours each time, that's what I was doing. That's where I was. And that's just the way it kind of was. Yeah.
Your family, doesn't, and your family and your fitness does not need to be one thing sacrifices for the other. When you're spending a lot of time with your family and work's going well, your fitness doesn't have to suffer. When your fitness is going well, your family doesn't have to suffer. And that's why we talk about building so many different types of capacity. Okay, so if you're someone who's only focused on lifting in the gym and that's the only type of capacity or fitness you have, and that's the only thing you go and do, well, when something happens where you can't make it to the gym anymore and you don't do anything like running, you don't do jump roping, you don't maybe grab a kettlebell to keep at your house, you're now feeling like my fitness is gone. But it doesn't have to be. If you had a kettlebell that you had at home and you had a jump rope like we were doing this morning or something, in those times where that goes, okay, well now my fitness is waking up before everybody else, and just for 30 minutes, I'm going to do a little complex, doing a little bit of jump rope, doing a little bit of kettlebell, and maybe doing some burpees. And trust me, that's a hell of a fucking workout for 20 minutes. Hell of a workout for 20 minutes. And then you can go into your day feeling good that you got a great workout in, but you check that fitness box and your family doesn't have to suffer. The only time when these things suffer is when you are limited on the things that you feel that you have to do, right? I have to go into the gym 5 days a week for a 90-minute workout. But for some, you don't always have to do that. So that's why we talk about broadening all the different capacities you have. Because if you can broaden those capacities, it gives you so many more tools for you to be able to stay on top of your fitness when things aren't going the perfect way, right? And then there's also the tool of nutrition, right? Because this guy was talking about how like when the family stuff is going really well, fitness goes, but part of fitness isn't just working out, but it's also making sure you take care of your nutrition. So when you're not going to the gym as much, right, but you're eating the same amount of food, right, you're going to gain some weight. So that's why you need to have some tools that's going to allow you to maybe take away from the food a little bit in the times when you may not be burning as many calories as you were when you were going to the gym 5 days a week, 90 minutes a session.
The food part can be really hard for people, especially with family. They're like, yeah, the kids, and it's like, your kid doesn't drive to the grocery store and buy cookies. Like your kid's 4, you for some reason think it's like a good idea to feed. Look, we know this is a bad idea for our pets. Yeah, I love my dog. I love Daisy. I would love to give her like all kinds of weird little treats and like watch her go crazy over certain things, right? It's like it's fun. But I also know it's like detrimental. Like it's not great for her. She's just going to get overweight. Her stomach's going to drag on the ground. Those little feet that move fast, they're not going to be able to, she's not going to be able to go anywhere.
Little Daisy's now dragging her body.
Well, her little legs might get stronger if she's towing around a little bit more weight.
It might be Jack Daisy.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
Turn
true.
into a power lifter.
Yeah, maybe she's in too much of a caloric deficit. And she's, her hormones are stressed, right?
Yeah, she's a cardio bunny, cardio puppy.
But we have control over the types of foods that come into the household. We have control over the types of foods that we want to eat. I recognize that sometimes when people are thinking of eating as a family, they're thinking like, I'm going to eat what we've always eaten because our family has always ate this way. Mm-hmm. Well, if you look around the room and you look at your family, like how in shape are they? How well do they move? My family, I love everybody in my family so much, but my family is fucking broken.
You're extended.
People do not move around really well. But yeah, the Bell family. Mm-hmm. You guys, you see my dad. My dad unfortunately, he's had a lot of surgeries. He's had knee surgeries and hip surgeries from the time he was young. I don't know what he was born with or how. He was born with a lot of unfortunate circumstances where his body was just off. He was in lots of pain and stuff like that. And I think nowadays he feels pretty good, but it's hard for him to get around. It's hard for him to stand, completely upright. Mm. And my uncles and some of my other family members, they're leaning way forward. They've had to make drastic changes, and it's been really cool to see. They had to make drastic changes with their nutrition over the years because they did exactly what we're talking about right here. They got caught up in the family, the work, the 9 to 5. I need to make 6 figures. I need to hustle. And everyone's extremely successful. Like not so much in terms of like being like banked up and there's like tons of money. But my family is amazing. They're like coaches. They have good kids. They have, just a very, very typical standard kind of American lifestyle where they did a great job providing for their kids, but they also worked so much that they didn't think about themselves much. Mm. And now it's like, you're 50, 60. Now you got to start to get these habits that are hard to, and a lot of them have gained the habits, which is cool. Yeah. But like my Uncle Peter, for example, he's had like a bunch of spinal surgeries and stuff, and his back is real jacked up. But he did an absolutely amazing job. He lost like 100 pounds. He stays in shape. He walks like 15 miles every day. Mm. He's a savage when it comes to walking. But just imagine if you didn't have to do that. Imagine if you didn't have, because you were chipping away the whole time. Like I'm hoping the three of us, like we don't have to necessarily, none of us has to walk 15 miles a day. Right? I know he enjoys it too, but you kind of get my point. It's like, I don't want to have to try to rewind the hands of time when I'm already kind of like bent over and really screwed up.
Yeah. One thing that you said, man, and it ties into what our homie, our friend here said and asked. He mentioned how when the family's good, my fitness falls. But the amount of times I've heard people say, well, you're in really great shape, but try doing that when you have a family and kids to take care of. And that is actually
I take care of my kids.
But no, dude, that's super admirable. The things that you just told me about your family, like how those extended family, like they provide for their children, they take care of their significant other. That's an admirable thing, and that's something you want to aim for. But I think what happens is people put so much into that then they feel that they can't really take care of themselves, or that's not even something that they've seen modeled.
Remember my cousin Steven and JL, gave us the story on my cousin Steven. He's like, why are you standing in the corner over there? And he's like, I don't know, just to kind of like be out of the way. He's like, yeah, I know. And then JL went into this like whole thing. He's like, you provide for your family and you're always there for your kids and you're there for your wife and you're making money, but you're not paying attention to your own body and how you feel. Mm-hmm. And he like almost cried. He was like, fuck, man. Like, yeah. I'm just here to kind of support Mark and to hang out for the podcast.
And I think so many people see that modeled. Like they see, okay, well, my father took care of his family and I didn't see him working out or doing all this, but he made sure the kids and his wife was doing okay.
My mom never did anything for herself, ever.
But she made sure y'all were good.
100%.
Right? So that's the thing. Like, okay, even though we've seen that narrative so so much that you sacrifice yourself for your family, because you quite literally are sacrificing part of your life to make sure all these
100%.
other lives are okay. How about instead of sacrificing your life, you take the 30 minutes in the morning to take care of your body, right? And take care of your health so that, number one, not only are you better for your family, but you're going to be here longer for your family.
You're going to be somebody that other people in the family can rely on.
For a longer amount of time.
Can lean on.
The amount of people that, it's sad, but like the amount of people that are gone too early because, I mean, shit, they did a lot for their kids and their family and they left a lot, but they're gone early because they didn't take the time to take care of themselves. It's
People are
sad,
ending
but it's
up
necessary.
They're ending up on medications, you know, in their late 30s, early 40s. And people are just not able to move around and get around as much. And then there's like little stuff where you don't even realize. Like any of us that have been injured before, we were talking about it the other day. Like I was like, you ever like hurt something and you're like, I didn't even know how much I use my pinky, but goddamn, like it comes in handy a lot. You use it a ton when, you know, when it finally gets hurt or something, right? And I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of pain, and there's like physical pain, there's mental pain, there's scarring from when you're young, from certain traumas and stuff. But even aside from some of that, you just literally don't feel as good as you used to. Like if someone's like, hey, from the chair that you're sitting in right now, just jump in the air. Someone who's been around for a little while that is untrained is going to go, what? And the what is to like, let me give this a delay so I can see if that person really wants me to actually like jump, and how high do they want me to jump, and like jump where, for why, you know, for what. But if you pointed to a little kid that's sitting in a classroom, you said, get up and jump, and just pointed at them, they'd be like, fuck yeah. Because like, you know, physically they feel wonderful. They feel really great. But if you haven't really expressed yourself that way in a long time and jumped or ran or something, you feel terrible. So, but that eats at you each and every day when you're trying to help people. When somebody says, hey, like, let's go, you want to go see a movie? You're like, nah. Like, you want to go, it's hard to be as vibrant or be there for somebody when you don't feel as good.
Absolutely. I mean, shit, that's like the stuff that I was having to deal with my back, you know, like it's tough to stay motivated, you know, so that's why like I'd have to find things that worked, but I found motivation in that. And one thing that like, you know, like going back, I don't know, we'll say, 10 years, hearing all this, I'd be like, oh gosh, there's no way I could, you know, be able to do that. Even with a bad back, like I can't, I wouldn't be able to maintain all this. But the things that are saving me right now is just the habits. Like if I didn't have the habit of a clean diet, you know, I'd probably be, you know, looking a lot skinnier while looking fatter, like maintaining more body fat.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff, like for people that are listening, you know, if you're not quite there yet, it's just because the habits aren't developed yet. It's not like we have to necessarily like when we were all in the gym earlier, like it wasn't we didn't like go onto our calendar and be like, Friday morning, I'm going to go, you know, beat the shit out of my traps. Let's go. And like, you know, get all motivated. Like we just all walked in there naturally because that's just part of our daily thing now. And that's like a huge part of the huge piece of the puzzle for people is just making it a habit and, you know, not really even thinking about it.
You bring up a great point. Like my family members being coaches and teachers and stuff like that, they're never late. They're never late for work. These are like the most reliable people that you got. You know, they're amazing people. They're always going to be on time. They're loyal. So they have dedication. It's just in a lot of different areas, and they just haven't. I think, unfortunately, like years ago, people just didn't really know. Obviously, we know, like if you don't move your body around, you've heard move it or lose it. We've heard some of these things for a while, but now there's just so much more information about food, and there's so much more information about how dangerous these family gatherings can be, where you just are consuming calories and it's just completely mindless. I don't care what you're celebrating. I don't care how wonderful you think it is. No one gets a free pass. You don't get to hold up a card at the end of the day and say, well, this was a really extraordinary celebration we had as a family. And this is something we do every year. So like, I want to check this in so you don't count that 10,000 calories against me.
You know,
free pass. Yeah.
I would suggest
Like,
that.
oh, that was a pretty legit celebration, so you're good. Go ahead. You're not going to get any fatter.
And it's like, what did you have? Like, oh, it was homemade. All right, go for it.
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
Man, some of these family gatherings, some of that food's fucking good. Especially cultural food, especially Filipino gatherings.
Oh, dude.
Dude. I feel like Filipinos have the. Where's our boy Melvin?
I know.
Melvin, bring me some lumpia, brother. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, that's how Melvin went from like, what was it? What was he saying? 150 or something?
It's like 230.
It's like 230.
Yeah.
That's that culture. I remember when we were talking about
Now
that.
he's back to 200 though.
Yeah.
He's crushing it.
That one day he was like, man, this diet stuff is cool, but it gets me when my mom makes food. I'm like, bro, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you. Because, Filipinos, y'all some rock stars with your food.
Melvin's got them calves too.
Melvin, well, I'm not even gonna. Is it? Yeah, he does have calves.
Yeah, he does.
Dude,
right?
he's got some calves.
Melvin's of Asian descent.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing you do notice with a lot of like Asian individuals who don't work out and do work out is just their calf genetics are a peak for no reason.
Our boy Angelo.
Angelo
Dude,
too.
what the fuck? That's right.
Right? He doesnking even work him. He's just like walking around with boulders on his.
But like Melvin, like
legs.
he's on his toes jumping, right? Because he's like used to sparring and boxing and stuff.
Yeah.
So that makes some sense. But I'm
Angelo.
sure he's never. Yeah.
Angelo's ridiculous. He's like, I've been working out for like 2 weeks and he's all fucking lumped up. You're like, dude, what the?
Why are you so yoked up?
Yeah,
brother?
what the fuck?
I know. I was kind of bummed when he was talking about like, yeah, I'm getting into running. I'm like, dude, you are spitting in the universe's face right now. You could be a fucking monster bodybuilder. Like it would take you like 2 months too. Like you would see huge results. And he's like, I want to get into like more long distance stuff. Like, man,
Do what you enjoy.
Stupid ass running.
One thing I would suggest is you guys should listen to the Huberman Lab episode with Dr. Wendy Suzuki, and she talks about boost attention and memory with science-based tools, right? The really cool thing about this episode was that Wendy Suzuki is the dean of NYU, New York University. She's the dean of one of their departments.
She's busy.
She is busy as all hell. Okay, busy, like one of the busiest people you'd imagine. And she was talking about the situation where she was heading for tenure and she had to do all these grants and she was working. And in that period of time, 2 years, she gained 25 pounds. It wasn't working well. She wasn't feeling good. So then she just started building a habit of doing some exercise in the morning. She just did a cardio-based workout with some DVD, like insanity type video thing every morning before. And she lost that 25 pounds. And one day she was working. She was like, this grant writing stuff feels good. Like she never said that before, but she's like, why does this actually feel good? Why? And it was because number one, she built the habit of exercise. She planted that into her life where now everything feels better because she's more fit and she's exercised. They also talked about the benefits of cardiovascular work and your working memory and how it helps you with BDNF or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. But one thing she mentioned that was like so poignant, I think, was she talked about her father. And she was raised by her father and mother, but her father was an engineer. He was the one who was working all the time, providing for the family. Her mom was the one who was like exercising and taking care of them, but she was taking care of herself. But the dad was like work. Kind of like what Wendy was doing when she wasn't exercising that much. And her father got Alzheimer's. Her mom was having to take care of her father, but her father ended up getting Alzheimer's and dementia. If there's anything we know that individuals that exercise more often or have that habit of doing some cardiovascular-based exercise or some lifting or just using their body in that fashion, they can push those things off and they also have a much better quality of life. And this is something we've been talking about forever, but that's a thing to pay attention to. You might be killing it in business, killing it in whatever you're doing, providing for your family, doing all these things. But if you're not taking the time to take care of yourself, there could come a point where your family's having to now take care of you because you didn't take the time, the 30 minutes a day or the 40 minutes a day in the morning to take care of yourself. You could now be the person that your family has to take care of. And I'm not hoping that or wishing that on anybody, but it's just a reality that many people have to go through. So if you can take the time, along with providing for everybody that depends on you and taking care of all those people and being that rock in your family, but also being that rock for yourself, you're going to do an even better job of taking care of those people that really care about you.
Another thing she said that was really awesome was kind of like what these things do for our brain and what they do for us in general and the cascade of hormones going on. One thing that I've found that seems to be important for anyone that I see that's real successful is they have this maybe internal understanding that if you want to be at peace, you got to go to war. At some point in your life, you got to go hard on something. You got to have some intensity towards something. Pushing yourself in the gym is a really interesting thing because you're there basically for pain, which doesn't seem to make any sense. But you're like, this pain that I got yesterday seems to be working out really well for me. So I'm going to keep coming back here because the more I work through this pain, the more that I grow.
Yeah.
And the more that I can kind of continue to do that, the better that I can feel about myself. This lady said that exercise is like a bubble bath for your brain.
Yeah.
It's like a bubble. Like, just imagine if someone was to just break it down and they said, hey, listen, I got this really cool thing. I know that you have some anxiety. I know that you've been upset lately and you've been really worried. But we have this thing that we can take your brain out and we can dip it into this thing that's got all these lotions and these wonderful things. It's going to make you feel fucking amazing. It's going to cause a cascade of hormones to go on in your body. It's going to help you lose body fat. It's going to help you do this and do that. And then they break it to you that it's exercise. You're like, fuck, okay. Okay, maybe I should do it. But what an interesting analogy, a bubble bath for your brain. And I think, I mean, that's why we love it. That's why we're in there all the time. That's why we're there for so fucking long all the time, is because of this. We're trying to get all three of us in the bubble bath at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What we're working on.
You know, another cool thing that she mentioned, and I'm like, man, we've been on this shit, is she talked about how, like, in the mornings, because Huberman just asked, okay, what are your habits? Because you're this high performer, you're a fucking dean, you're doing all these things, you have tenure, it's crazy. What are you doing? And she mentioned that she does a cold shower in the morning after her exercise. So she'll, we plunge, right? But what she does is she's addicted to, going into warm and then putting the water on super cold for maybe 2 minutes. And she does that every morning. And we know that, like, number one, you get this rush of epinephrine and all these different cascades of, like, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and adrenaline that helps you feel good for hours. But she even mentioned that, like, if she ever forgets to do it, like, she's like, God damn, I got to go do it. So she'll run back to the shower and get in that cold. So that's another thing that it's like, you don't have, okay, if you don't have a cold plunge, just fucking put the water on warm, shower for a little bit, then for the last minute or two, go cold. And these are one of those things that's going to give you a bit of a boost in the morning to feel even better. So do that shit, man.
What was the thing about the heart rate that you said you read?
Yeah. So I want to learn more about, I've heard of Wim Hof. I've downloaded the app a while ago. I've done the breathing technique, but I never really went deep on what it's all about. So in his book, he said that individuals who, just a shower, right? They go into a shower warm, and then at the end of your shower, just have a minute or two of just cold and then turn it off. That after 10 days, their general resting heart rate actually decreases potentially 7 to 10 beats. This means that, you do that, and for the rest of your day, instead of your resting heart rate being at potentially 65 or 70, it's at 55 to 60. And if there's anything we know about the resting heart rate, it's that the lower your resting heart rate, the general, number one, your heart health is better, but those people tend to just be a little bit more chill. And when your heart rate's higher and your breathing isn't as good and you're walking around with a heart rate of 75 to 80, you're breathing really fast and you're in this state where you're like a little bit tense, right? So that's a simple practice that will allow you to just go through your day feeling more chill, feeling more relaxed. And we always talk about we talked about it on our last episode with the scale, how stress can cause you to hold more cortisol, hold more water, and hold more weight. And if you're less stressed, god damn, you're just going to be feeling better all the time.
We know that something like caffeine can, get your heart rate going a little faster, right?
Yeah.
But imagine, again, take the same scenario and you're used to kind of, being able to regulate your heart rate a little bit easier by utilizing some cold therapy. Obviously, you can just skip the coffee as well, but a lot of us are addicted.
Bitch, what?
Yeah,
I'm too addicted for that shit.
We're in too deep.
Bitch, what?
If you think about caffeine as being like just any other problem that might race your heart, you can kind of just look at it and say, look, if my heart rate is lower, just because I have this practice of cold, maybe my interpretation of the things that are going on around me are going to be easier on me. Maybe my heart won't get so jacked up the next time that I hear about a car payment that I have, or whatever the hell the thing is that gets you fired up and pissed off.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the cold plunge can help. Well, it will help me with the resting heart rate, because my shit's always like through the roof.
What's your resting heart rate
So
usually
it's like,
at?
well, like I'm trying to calm myself down, and I can't get like into the 60s right now, but like it's usually like around 70 to 80, like all the time. Yeah. Unless this watch is incorrect, which is totally possible. Yes, I am on like a good amount of caffeine right now. I just drank a Monster.
What about when you sleep? Where does it go to?
Yeah.
Any idea?
I'll have to check. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you look in
head.
the app, it'll tell you what your heart rate's at.
Okay.
The 8 Sleep app, it'll tell you your heart rate.
Yes. Let me pull that up. We'll reference that, I guess, later. But yeah, the cold plunge is pretty fucking incredible. I do love it for that, the mental side of things, like I said in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, my back doesn't hurt when I'm in there because it's too cold.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I wasn't thinking about that much, but you know, typically in the past, my resting heart rate was maybe around, like, when I'm just sitting around, it's usually around like maybe 58 to 60. But for the past few weeks, when I've been doing cold consistently and cold plunging consistently, I've been looking at my watch every now and then, and my heart rate's at like 50, 52. And I'm just like, yeah, I just kind of put it aside. But after reading that from the Wim Hof thing, and then realizing the habit of cold that I've been putting in, it kind of makes some sense. I could be making some bullshit correlation right now, but I'm pretty sure like that's because my resting heart rate was never like super high, but it's never just been chilling at 50. You know, that sometimes happens usually when I'm asleep,
Right.
but not when I'm just sitting down and doing nothing.
Yeah, so it says my heart rate variability for last night was 67, ranges from 52 to 99, but then sleeping heart rate shows 54, which is a new HR alert.
That's good.
So that's good, yeah.
That's good.
All right. I love, fucking 8 Sleep's amazing.
Shit.
I just pulled that right up too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's see, last 30 days. Oh my God. That skyrocketed up to 72. Okay, so 72 is the high while I'm sleeping. And then, it's been hanging out in the 50s, actually.
Dude, no, that's awesome.
Heck yeah. That's probably when I started using the nasal breathe right strips. There's definitely a quick connection.
Another thing to think about in trying to have your fitness and your family and all these different things, all these plates spinning at one time, rather than spinning a bunch of different plates at one time, maybe you just spin one plate. And what I mean by that is maybe you just incorporate everything all together.
Nice.
And maybe you have some weights in your garage, and maybe it's normal practice for your 5-year-old to go in there with you every day, and they get on the rower while dad's doing some dumbbell cleans or whatever the hell it is. So again, using Jason Kleep as an example, using Andrew as an example, Jesse Burdick, like Jesse Burdick's kids, they just don't know any different.
Yeah.
You know, his kids they're 14 or so now. And his daughter, I think, squats like 200 pounds or something, or one, I could be off with that. Maybe it's like 155 or 185, whatever the hell it is.
And she's only like 2 years old.
Yeah, she's only 2 years old, but she's low to the ground now.
Yeah, no.
It's one of his teenage daughters.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that's his life, you know. The kids are in the gym, he's in the gym with them. So whatever way you can incorporate stuff, I've tried to do that the best I can. And whenever appropriate with my kids and my wife, I've brought them to meetings and to different things. And I always check ahead of time. You don't want to like bring a bunch of little kids around people that aren't comfortable with that, because that's not a great idea. But my kids were usually like going to do something different anyway. So I would go and meet somebody somewhere at a coffee shop, let's say, and my wife would take them for like a walk, but everybody would meet each other. Everybody gets to know each other, and then things are kind of like integrated into each other a little differently.
Yeah, we're raising it's going to sound mean, we're raising a little asshole, because if I go to try to grab like a Halo top thing, he's just like, hey, what's that? And I'm like, nothing. You know, like he's just like, no, I want, like he's reaching for it. I'm like, no, you can't have it. But I feel bad because it's like, well, why can I have it and he can't? You know, like, so he's been like
the biggest like accountability partner to stay on my like diet, because like I can't, well, we're not even gonna bring it in the house because I can't have it because the little guy's gonna bug me. But then like he'll be the one that runs to the cable machine and he'll start like doing rows and stuff. It's pretty incredible, but so he's definitely gonna be the one that's like, how come you're not working out? Like he's gonna be the real I can't even think of the right word, but he's gonna be the one that's gonna push us. And it's just because, like you just said, Mark, like we're making it weird to not work out. We're making it weird to not stay on the plan.
I just think about how cool it is to be I'm on this fucking jump rope kick right now, as you can tell. But like just jump roping outside with my fucking imaginary kid. Like,
well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, when you do have kids though, and you're still doing that, they're just gonna be like,
that's
all their kids' friends are gonna be like, dude, your dad's the coolest.
Not just that, but like again, like what Mark said and what you said, it's like this is just normal. Like they see you doing these things, right? So they're just like, I want to hop in. I want to hop in with you, daddy. Can I jump rope with you, daddy?
You ever watch that movie, Bebe's Kids?
No, never heard of it.
No?
No, what is Bebe's Kids?
Oh my God. Damn it. Adding it to the list of black movies you need to watch. This shit is amazing. It's a cartoon.
It is?
It's so good, dude.
Is it new or is it old?
It's old.
Extremely
old. Yeah,
not extremely
like,
old.
It's
old, yeah.
I'm not calling you old. I'm trying to fuck with you.
It is old, though. It's like 20 years old, probably.
Yeah. I remember being a kid watching
Bebe's Kids?
Bebe's Kids, dude.
God, I must not be black.
I don't know the comedian's name, the main guy, because he was already kind of like long gone by time we were of age.
You're black, Nsima. Don't start getting all down on yourself.
When a white man says you're black. Oh, man. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. I feel it's back.
You're welcome.
Interesting. All right, cool. Well,
it's a must watch, dude.
I think we killed this one.
And then just another podcast recommendation, because you were talking about Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to, just completely skip that one and watch the habits, or sorry, your diet doesn't fail, your habits do. That one is a huge thing as far as spinning all the plates and keeping them going without falling. Is just implementing those habits.
Yeah, that was one of ours, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I was just clarifying.
We do a lot. We do multiple episodes.
Pumping out 5 or sometimes 6 episodes in a week. Like,
we're on fire over here.
Bringing this shit over. And Discord's on fire too. Over 1,200. Y'all need to check it out. We answer questions from there on here and also in there. And people in there are just killing it. In the personal accountability side,
nice.
We got Bruce killing it. We got a lot of people in there that are just posting their steps each day. I think I just saw Matthew did like 17,000 steps barefoot or some shit.
Damn.
Yeah.
That fucker's insane.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's fucking wow.
Yeah. He's wild.
Yeah.
Take us on out of here, Andrew.
Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. If you guys are not subscribed and you stumbled upon this video, please make sure you guys do subscribe. We sincerely appreciate it. And smash that like button if you guys can. And also drop us comments down below. Let us know what you guys are struggling with, and we'll turn that into another episode. Follow the podcast at MBPowerProject on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. My Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z, and all this stuff will be linked down in the description below. And Nsima, where you at?
We do need to keep reiterating that we are the longest standing podcast ever. Like, I think it's really fucking cool that that we've been doing all this, but like we've been standing.
I've been kneeling.
But you're not even sitting. You're in say as a chair. So
kneeling chair, son.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So yeah, guys, stand at work. Check out Discord. Link in the description. At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube. At Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark.
At Mark Smelly Bell. Strength's never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later. Your mom's ass.
Fuck.